Imagine a neighborhood divided by an invisible line. On one side, pristine homes with manicured lawns. On the other, crumbling buildings and overgrown lots. People on each side rarely cross the line, yet they blame each other for their problems. Now, zoom out. That invisible line isn't unique to one neighborhood. It runs through communities, regions, and entire societies. It's created by forces like economic stratification and political polarization, which shape how we think, live, and interact with one another. For various reasons, we tend toward hierarchy. A hierarchy where the few govern the many, and the many serve the few. This session dives into the interconnected forces of stratification and polarization. The forces disrupting societies, influencing personal lives, and offering opportunities for change. First, economic stratification and the ripple effects of inequality. Economic stratification is more than just a gap in income and wealth. It's a widening chasm that affects education, health, and opportunity. It's the result of takers dominating makers. The top 1% of people control nearly 1/3 of all wealth in the United States, a disproportionate share. This disparity has nothing to do with contribution. It has to do with the systems we develop and support. Systems which deliberately, by design, extract wealth and power from the many and concentrate it in the hands of a few. In the United States, economic mobility is declining. Where you've been born is likely to determine where you'll stay. Economic stratification is represented by an inverse pyramid. Those at the top are amassing, concentrating wealth and power. Those at the bottom are scrambling for scraps. That wealth is concentrating is a feature of the system, not a bug. In practical terms, the wealth chasm creates opportunity gaps where unequal access to resources limits personal and societal potential. Worst of all, the widening wealth gap causes social tensions. An unfair system fuels frustration and division. As we seem to always default to hierarchy, those holding or seeking power create systems to reinforce and expand the divide. These include financial systems, tax and trade policies, and educational disparities, plus many more. The systems create economic uncertainty, which makes people more defensive, competitive, and less collaborative. Economic stratification doesn't just harm individuals. It destabilizes entire societies, creating fertile ground for division and conflict. Then we have political polarization, that is, division by design. Political polarization is the growing ideological distance between groups. Much of that polarization is an outcome of economic stratification amplified by vested interests, those benefiting the most from confusion and division. The rich and the powerful through government and corporate systems, and media relying on antisocial media. These polarizing forces deliberately and methodically amplify ethnic and cultural differences. Populist elites like Donald Trump in the United States, Vladimir Putin in Russia, or Sri Modi and others the world over reinforce and leverage divisions for their own benefit. Inciting fear and hate and blaming the powerless and disadvantaged while claiming they are the answer further ruptures these already vulnerable communities and destabilizes the populations at large. As social cohesion dissolves, people increasingly surround themselves with like-minded individuals and retreat into echo chambers to avoid conflict or prepare to fight. The people who have the most to gain by promoting polarization assert that compromise is weakness, further fueling gridlock and extremism. Fomenting suspicion and division breeds distrust in institutions and the other side, just as the elites intend, further weakening social cohesion. As those aspiring to power want division, prevent collaboration and progress, Polarization is usually intentional. As in the United States, division and distrust, fear and hate are stoked by leaders, media, and algorithms that profit from conflict. Fear and scarcity narratives divide and distract people. Since polarization thrives on fear and misunderstanding, we can counter it, but that takes empathy and shared purpose. Economic inequality and political polarization don't exist in isolation. They reinforce each other. The systems reinforcing the hierarchy take time and effort to build and maintain. But our hierarchical systems have proven to work extremely well for those at the top. At the bottom, a scarcity mindset fosters fear of losing what little people have. So the masses remain submissive and compliant. Further complicating the dynamic, people hate to take responsibility. So they are more likely to scapegoat others, like immigrants, minorities, women, foreigners, or different political groups. Judgment and blame are used to fuel fear and hate, resulting in the divisions the ruling elite benefit from most. Those seeking wealth and power exploit fear to erode trust and deepen polarization. Where do you see economic stratification in your life? Do you recognize it in education, healthcare, job opportunities? How has your privilege or lack thereof shaped your perspective and choices? Take a step further by thinking about a group or viewpoint you feel divided from. What fears or assumptions might be fueling this divide? To counteract our tendency toward hierarchy, economic stratification, and political polarization, bridge the divide in your daily life. Step into someone else's shoes. Have a conversation with someone who has a different perspective or background. Listen actively and ask open-ended questions. Avoid debating. If you are serious about bridging the divide, don't allow yourself to get swept up in the fear and hate blame game. Instead, start making connections. Find opportunities to bring people together within your workplace, family, or community. You'll find people aren't that different after all. The invisible lines that divide us, economic and political, are not fixed barriers. They are reflections of choices we've made and the systems we've built. Understanding how inequality and division shape our world helps us reclaim our power and choose differently. When we bridge these divides, we don't just heal fractures in society. We create stronger, more inclusive communities. It's easy to answer the question, what's wrong with the world? The harder question is, how do I make it better?